Okay guys, let's go and take a look at that countertop and just see what's going on with it here. It's definitely rotted out from overwintering, and actually noticed this a little bit the last couple of years where we're getting a little bit of water in here. I should have done something about it, but as you can see, now the hole there, I just made that hole, but to get my hand into there. But as you can see, it is quite messed up. I don't know if you can see the checking and yada yada. It's obviously these are all particle board, and particle board swells up, and hey, that's what you get. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to take this counter here. As you can see, it's fairly long. I'm guessing it is about, in rough numbers, about 6 feet long, I think, something like that. And I've got some Corian. We're going to take this thing out best way we can, and then we're going to go and piece together some Corian pieces and see if we can make a Corian countertop out of this. I am not going to bother doing the other one to make it match. I frankly don't care that much. I want this thing just to sort of be functional as opposed to necessarily a designer tent trailer, if you will. So that's the approach we're going to take, at least initially. I mean, who knows, maybe once we get this done I'll change my mind on that, but you know what, I doubt it. So anyways, let's see what we can do to get this thing out of here. Okay guys, I just thought I'd show you the process on getting this countertop out. It was not as easy as you'd first expect. The perimeter was all pretty easy. There was some screws around the perimeter going up through the casing, and all that was pretty obvious by looking in the cupboards. But the back here was really secured in that channel, and it was really hard to get out. I tried, the reason I cut the hole here initially, this hole, was to actually get my hand in there and really get a hold of it and pull it out at the rotted end. I figured the rotted end would come out easier than the pristine end for obvious reasons. And it still didn't want to come out of there, man. So, you know, I'd been lifting it up gently, gently, gently. And then finally I just reefed on it, and that actually allowed me to get this thing right out of here. As it turns out, we'll look back here. For those that might be doing this job themselves, as you can see, it's stapled into this channel at the back. Now I'd taken, there's screws in here as well in that channel. I'd taken all those out there, but there's nothing else to take out from inside the cabinets. And you can see where the screw hole was. Then these screws, and they're around the whole perimeter here. So as it turns out, these little staples were the problem. Weirdly though, I'll have to have another look, but I looked for that sort of thing from the underside and I just didn't see them. So must be my eyes. I'll have another look. So maybe I just missed seeing them. In any event, bottom line, brute force works for anybody who's doing this. At least on mine it didn't. Obviously mine's half rotten, so yours might be a different deal if it's in perfect shape, but I just basically just lifted it up really hard and it just busted out of there. So as you can see, where there was water damage, there's lots of debris and crop left, and where it was pristine, it is still pristine, as you'd expect. So we're going to use the dimensions of this board to create our new one out of Corian. So that is going to be, I guess, the next process. I'll just lift this out of the tent trailer, take it around to my workshop, we'll lay it out, and yeah, then we'll start thinking about what we're going to do with the Corian. Hey guys, just topping up on how I took that countertop out. The one additional thing I did, and I didn't think it had actually made a difference, was on the outside of the tent trailer, there's this metal channel, right, that goes all the way around the perimeter. And I'd taken these screws out because I thought maybe there was some outside chance they were going into the countertop. And as you can see, they're along the channel here every so often. Well, as it turns out, they don't. They don't actually hold the countertop at all. But what they do is they allow this channel to lift. Let me see if I can show you by holding this fabric out of the way. A little challenging with one hand. Bear with me. Okay, so as you can see, this channel, now that I've taken those out, will lift, and that's what actually allowed me, as it turns out with hindsight, to pry this bar up and out, because it actually provided some additional room for it to come off of those staples. So that's the trick, guys. That's the trick. Get those on the perimeter, take those out, and obviously you need to be somewhat careful with that. Your fabric's attached to it, yada yada, but by this thing lifting somewhat, it gives you enough room to actually pry it off those staples. So that's what you need to do. Now when I put these screws back in, I'm going to use some silicone or something else to really make them watertight again. Yeah, so just obvious. Okay, on to the next step. Okay, so we've got the top off, and what we've done is gone around the whole perimeter to go and both clean up any of the debris that was there, especially over in this corner where, you know, we actually had the rot, right, on the or the swollen fiberboard, so we've cleaned all that up. Plus, we have taken out all of the fasteners that were in here. There was some staples that are going up, and the reason I didn't see them when I was looking up before is because they're really, they must use a very powerful air gun. They're very recessed in there, and of course, being so far back into the cupboard, there was no way I was going to see that they were even there. But that was actually staples going up, so all the staples got either cut off or broke off. So that's all cleaned up. Now what we're going to do with this, I think I mentioned before, is that we're going to actually go and replace this with pieces of Corian. So it's not going to be one solid piece of Corian, but rather pieces of Corian. And what I did is you know, I don't want to spend a lot of money on this project, so looked around and found a guy that had a bunch of cut-off pieces from installing countertops that were of the right thickness. And I'm using Corian for two reasons. One, it's impervious to water. Two, it's relatively lightweight. Three, it can be machined and cut with a table saw or jigsaw. It can be sanded. It can, you know, basically a homeowner guy like me can actually use this stuff. No rock cutting skills required, and way less heavy than something like quartz or anything else that's usually used for countertops these days. Now obviously I could have replaced this with you know, with a fiberboard or composite countertop as well, but you know, I have a feeling that I might get another little bit of water in here. If I do, I don't want to do this job again. So those are all my rationales for doing this. Plus I was able to source the Corian reasonably, almost free, as the Mexicans would say. So yeah, so what we're going to do now is, because this is going to be piecemeal, the way that this was structured before, I'll just take this piece out, okay, was exactly open like that. And what I want to do, because I'm going to be using pieces of various lengths, like, you know, maybe just imagine one here, one here, one here, whatever, I want to make sure that in addition to strength this way, that we actually have some support across the structure this way. So what I've done is I've just gone ahead and ripped some 3/4 inch pieces out of my wood pile, just ripped them on the table saw, and we don't got them secured in there yet, but we are going to air nail those in there. Brad nails plus glue. I don't know if I can do this with, can I do this with one hand? Let's find out. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go, one hand, how about that? Yeah, so we're just gonna go and brad nail those things in there with a bit of wood glue, carpenter's glue. I wanna do that for each of the 3 compartments, so that when we lay our you know, our piecemealed Corian across here, that it is more structurally sound. I won't say structurally sound, I'll say more structurally sound, to mitigate against those joints between the Corian pieces breaking. This will all make more sense as we progress. But anyways, that's the update so far. We're going to crack on and continue with it. Okay guys, so we're back out here, about to go and start working on the countertop for the tent trailer. And these are the pieces of Corian that I have that we're going to use. Now, none of them unfortunately are wide enough for the right dimensions. The countertop is 21.5 inches by, you know, roughly 71 inches long, and none of these are anywhere near the right dimensions. But what we can do is we're going to actually make we're going to cut these up and make 5 or 6 pieces to actually make up the dimensions we need. So Corian can actually be cut on a table saw, can be cut with a jigsaw and a few other things. So we are going to do that, and then we're going to use some special glue to glue them together, and then install it in the tent trailer. So at high level, that will be the process. So let's get after it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm cutting the pieces roughly to size with a jigsaw, and then I'm using the table saw to get the finished cut that I'm looking for. The pieces are just a little bit on the bulky big side to be trying to use on the table saw, so it works really great with the jigsaw. So just getting them rough cut there, about an inch bigger than I need, and then just going to cut them down to size for the finished cut with the table saw. So let's get after it. Okay. Okay, so there we have our finished piece. Okay, so that was our third piece we just cut. This one here, that's one we just cut. So we've got three pieces done, and we need to get to 72 inches, and we're about 43 inches there now. So I'm just going to be continuing to cut pieces until I exceed the 71 inches. I think it's actually 71 that I need. Exceed it, and then what we'll do is we'll rip a few of them down to get to exactly the length that we need. But I'm not going to film, obviously, be cutting all of these. It's all the same process, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut a few more till we get to the 71 plus inches that we need. So I'm going to get after that. Okay guys, so now what we're doing is measure this whole thing up after I cut all the pieces up, and had 83 inches of length, and we need like 71, between 71 and 72. The length isn't absolutely critical, but somewhere between 71 and 72. So what I've done is I've just set the table saw up here for I don't even know the precise measurement. Let's just say 11 and 7/8, something like that in a bit. I mean, maybe a little less than that, with the idea that we're going to end up somewhere around the 71 inches I need, just for this particular application, because there's overhang with the with the counter on one end, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be terribly precise, but what I'm doing then is I'm just going through and I'm ripping all of them to that exact same size. So that's called 11 and 7/8 size. And yeah, then we do that. And I think after we do that, we're gonna call her a night, and then work on putting the rest of this together tomorrow.